5th. It's about 10:45 in the morning and it's about 70 degrees. It's pretty good wind this morning. I'm going to conduct a little bit of an experiment here at home. I've talked about the pollen sub that our club's testing out. The one on the left is soy pollen and the one on the right is the Ultra B pollen sub. I'm going to put it out here and see if I have any bees in my area, and I'll come back whenever I notice some activity. Well, it's about 20 after 11 and it looks like a scout bee has found it. So we'll see how things go. I'll be back to check on it several more times throughout today, whenever I get a chance. So there's a bee back. She's collecting some of the pollen. There've been some flying around, but this is the first one that's found the pollen. I don't know if the bee that was here earlier gave them the coordinates to get here and they just weren't honing in on the pollen, but this one's collecting the pollen, and so far it looks like the Ultra B is the winner, but we'll keep an eye on it. She's grooming it off herself and putting it down into her pollen baskets right now. Well, so far I've only had about one bee at a time come to the feeder, so we're going to move this out to the bee yard. I'm going to pack up, and my grandson Sawyer and I are going to go out there and put it out there and see what they do. I'll see you when we get there. Okay, we're out here at the bee yard. It's about 10 till 1 in the afternoon on March 5th. The temperature's almost up to 75 degrees now. There's a lot of activity here at the Land's hive. There's some pollen coming in. I'm going to go check and see the status of the Langstroth hive, and then I'm going to set up the pollen out here as I had it at home. So I'll be back in a little bit. Well, as suspected, there's a lot of activity here at the Langstroth hive also, and there's pollen coming in here. So they're out foraging. They're also cleaning out the hive. It looks like they're dragging out some of the paper that I had on, the sugar on, and other things. So I'm going to go set up the pollen sub, and we'll see if they find it. Okay, I've got the pollen sub set up. The Langstroth hive is just below that big tall cedar right there to the left of it, and the Land's hive is right over here where these tall trees are, it's in that clump of trees there. So it's about the same distance by flight from the site where I'm at. I've got a picnic table here that I've got the pollen set up on, and I'm going to open it up and see how long it takes them to find it. Okay, this is the setup as it was at home. On the right is the Ultra Bee, and the soy pollen sub is on the left. So we'll see how long it takes them. Kind of a look of where we're at. There's the lake on the dam, and as I showed you, there's the place where the Land's hive is, and there's where the Langstroth hive is. So I'm going to sit here and watch and see if any of them find it soon. Okay, we're back here at the Langstroth hive. I've decided, since I'm waiting on those bees, I'd come up here. I was planning on taking a look in this hive, since I didn't the last time I was out here, and see if there's any honey. The reason I didn't look in it, because I had the sugar on the frames that I put on about a week or so ago. But I'm going to open it up and see what we've got. I may put some sugar back on the backs of the frames, the mountain camp method again, but depending on how much honey they have. Well, as you can see, they've removed all the sugar, so they may need some more. I'll set this over here out of the way. There's a lot of bees in here. I'm going to take a moment and pull a couple of frames, and I'll be right back. Okay, this is the fourth frame in. The first frame didn't have any honey. The next two had a little bit of honey on them. This has got some honey up here in the corners. This corner here, and down here in the corner. There's a lot of bees in here. There's some open honey there. So I'm going to check a few more frames, and I'll be back in just a moment. I don't know if you can see, they've kind of covered it back up, but this frame does have a little capped brood on it. I can't tell if there's open brood or not. I don't want to kill the brood, so I'm going to keep this pretty short. Okay, so since I saw brood, I didn't spend a lot of time in here. There's maybe 4 frames with honey on them. These 2 frames here are the ones that I noticed the brood on. I did find some open brood on those frames, so I didn't find the queen, but I don't have to, because since I saw the brood, I know there's a queen in here. I am going to put another batch of sugar on this hive because of the lack of honey in it. So there's a lot of bees, as you can see. There's a pretty good cluster. There's probably a full 5 frames of bees. This is an 8-frame hive, so there's at least 5 frames of bees in this hive, or maybe more. So I'm going to put that on, and I'll show you what it looks like when I get done. So this is what that looks like after I put the sugar on it. You can kind of see the dark spots on the sugar. That's where I misted it with a little bit of water. I was watching a video of beekeeping with Natalie, and she spritzed the paper to hold it down, and then spritzed the sugar a little bit to add a little water to it, so moisture. The wind today was probably a good thing, because the wind kept blowing my paper away until I moistened it a little bit. So I'm going to get this closed up, and we're going to go back up and check on the pollen sub and see what's going on up there. Well, the activity has gone down drastically here at the Land's hive. The clouds are moving in a little heavier, and the wind's picking up. It feels like temperature might have dropped a little bit. I haven't been back to my vehicle to check to see what temperature it is, but I'm going to go back up and keep an eye on the pollen sub and see if I find any activity for the next 10 or 15 minutes. If not, I'm gonna call it a bust for today, because it's just not a good conditions today to for the bees. So I'll see you up there later. Well, I guess we'll call it a day. We'll try this experiment another day. It's almost 2 o'clock and the winds just keep picking up, and I don't think it's going to get any better. We've got some rain and some chance of thunderstorms coming in later. But here's another view of what the area looks like where we had the pollen sub. If I'd have been out here earlier when the temperatures start rising and put the pollen out before the scouts found their pollen and natural resources, I might have had a better chance of bringing some in to the pollen sub. But I hope you enjoyed the video today, and if you did, hit that like button and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time out here at the bee yard.